In this series, we're going to study game mechanics from different games and try to recreate them in my favorite video game engine, Unity. This series is inspired from the YouTube channel Mix and Jam, where he does the same thing, so make sure to check out his channel. For this first video in this series, I've decided to recreate the drone, also called Pod from Nier Automata. I chose this mechanic because it looks simple, yet it's interesting. So let's get straight into it. I started this project, by creating a new Unity project, but since I did not want to create my own third-person controller, I went into the package manager and imported the third-person controller by invert. Then I dragged the third-person prefab and everything was ping. So I fixed the materials and then I started working on a test scene. I added some cubes to test the jumping and added some slopes because they look cool, and slapped some materials on them. After that was done, I tested the controller and everything was working perfectly. And now, since our project is set up, it's time to study our mechanic. So what I did next is watch a bunch of gameplay videos for Nier Automata and got a bunch of ideas on how the drone works. So I'll be explaining it to you guys now. First, we have our character, and then we have the drone. The drone follows the position of the character with an offset based on where the camera is looking. But when locking on a target, the drone will always face the selected target, and so will the camera. You can also shoot with the drone, and the bullets will have no spread when there is no target selected. But if you do have a target selected, then due to the lock-in, there will be some spread. The drone also avoids colliding with obstacles by moving closer to the player. That's enough explaining for now, so let's get into implementing. I started by adding a cube and pretend it's a drone. I had it follow the player with a lerp to smooth out the movement, and all works well. After that, I worked on collision avoidance, which I implemented by casting a ray from the player to where the drone is supposed to be. And if the ray hit anything, I'll move the drone to the hit position with a bit of an offset to account for the width of the drone. Simple. When that was working all well, I moved to implementing the shooting ability. I first set up a transform to spawn the bullets at, and after adding the bullets, making them go forward and then go boom if they hit a surface, I also made sure they ignored the player since it was annoying having the player block the bullets. And then I had my bullets done, so all I had to do was spawn them on a click of a button. All good and dandy. I then added a simple target with an HP bar to test the shooting and the lock-in. I implemented the lock-in by doing a sphere cast from the camera center going forward a certain distance. I made sure to ignore the drone and player collider because they're annoying, and the cast will go through them. Then all I do is check if the hit object has the enemy tag and highlight it as a potential target. Now to actually lock on a target, we check if there is any currently highlighted enemy and set him as the lock target. Then I make the camera and the drone always face the target. I also made it so the bullets spread only when locking. I then added some UI icons to indicate if you can lock and if you are locking on a target. And boom, we have our lock-in working. But the drone is looking like a floating cube, so it's time to replace it with an actual model. I went to Sketchfab and found a free drone model. I imported it into Unity. I replaced the cube with it and made sure it's red. I don't know why it was green. After that, I created a different scene that resembled the level from Nier Automata and then scattered a bunch of enemies on it. And after some tweaking and polishing, here is the final result. Now I know, you will say this is not the full mechanics of the pod in Nier Automata, and I do understand that. But if you want me to implement fully the mechanics, then please write down below and I'll make a part 2. If you have other mechanics from other games that you want to see, you can also write them below, and make sure to subscribe for more future videos in this series, and have a good day.